I get eager staring at a quote for a 55-inch interactive screen and wondering if it's really worth putting a chunk of your office budget into something that could end up gathering dust. You've probably seen a few digital Flipchart ads that promise magic brainstorming sessions, but the real question is whether it actually lives up to that hype when you sit down with your team on a Monday morning. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, and I'm going to walk you through the stuff that matters after you press buy. First off, the hesitation most people feel isn't about the specs: 4K resolution, Wi-Fi, NFC, they're all eye-catching. The real worry is how the device fits into the flow of an everyday meeting room. Will it replace the projector, the whiteboard, and the conference call speaker all at once, or will it just add another layer of complexity? In my experience, the biggest mistake is buying a high-resolution screen and then neglecting the practical side of mounting, cable management, and the learning curve for your team. That's why I spent a few days actually setting up a similar 55-inch unit in a mid-size conference room, swapping out a ceiling-mounted projector and a wall-mounted whiteboard, and I'll share what that looked like. The Samsung Flip 2 basically turns the wall into a giant, touch-responsive canvas. The 55-inch size is large enough that even the person sitting at the far end of a 20-person room can see details without squinting, and the 4K UHD panel does make crisp text and graphics look clean. What feels surprisingly natural is the passive pen. There's no need to charge it, and it glides across the surface almost like a real marker on paper. For a quick sketch or a flowchart, you won't notice any lag, which is a relief because I've tried a couple of other interactive displays where the pen response felt like it was fighting against a slow internet connection. One of the biggest practical strengths is the multi-touch capability. Up to 4 people can write at the same time, which is a game-changer for collaborative brainstorming. I've seen teams split the screen into quadrants, each person filling in their ideas on the fly, and because the content is instantly saved to the cloud, you can export the whole session as a PDF or image later. That alone can replace the habit of taking photos of whiteboards or trying to transcribe notes after the meeting. Sharing content is also smoother than you might think. The Flip 2 supports NFC tap to share, so a presenter can simply tap their phone or tablet and have the screen mirror instantly, no fiddling with cables or navigating through a labyrinth of settings. HDMI and USB ports are there for the occasional legacy laptop or a USB stick, which is handy if you have a client who still works with older hardware. The built-in speaker does the job for small huddles, but don't expect it to fill a large auditorium. I found that for a room larger than 25 people you'll still need a dedicated sound system. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs that tend to get glossed over in marketing copy. The Flip 2 is a hefty piece of equipment, roughly 80 pounds, so you'll need a wall mount that can support the weight and a sturdy mounting point. If you're in a rented office space, that could mean negotiating with the landlord or dealing with a more involved installation process than you anticipated. Also, the device runs on Samsung's Tizen OS, which is fine for basic interactions, but you won't get the full suite of third-party apps that a Windows-based interactive whiteboard might offer. That means you're largely limited to the native Samsung tools for annotation and sharing, unless you connect a laptop and run everything through that. Another practical consideration is the pen's feature set. It's passive, which is great for convenience, but it lacks pressure sensitivity or tilt detection. If your team does a lot of design work that relies on line weight or shading, you'll quickly miss those nuances. The pen is essentially a digital marker, perfect for text, arrows, and simple sketches, but not a substitute for a graphics tablet if you need more artistic control. The price point is where the value beyond the headline specs really gets tested. A 55-inch 4K interactive display sits in the higher-end bracket of office tech, and you're paying not just for the screen but for the integration of hardware and software that promises to cut down on other equipment. In a typical medium-sized office, you might already have a projector, a whiteboard, a speaker system, and a conference call box. If you replace all of those with the Flip 2 and a modest external sound setup, you could end up saving on maintenance, cable clutter, and the time it takes to switch between devices during a meeting. On the flip side, if your meetings are already run smoothly with a projector and a separate whiteboard, the incremental benefit might not justify the upfront cost. Who should definitely consider this device? Small to medium teams that do frequent collaborative sessions, design sprints, or training workshops where visual interaction is